Hi, my name is Shauna, and today I'm going to talk about Luckenbill's situated transaction theory and how it helps me understand confrontational homicide. Um, when I first learned about this theory in chapter 5, what stood out to me was how it shifts the focus away from just blaming one person. I used to think that homicide was mostly about an offender making a bad decision, but this theory made me realize that homicide often develops through interactions between two or more people. I see it as a process where actions and reactions build on each other until violence happens. That idea really changed how I think about confrontational homicide. Luckenbill's situated theory, Luckenbill's situated transaction theory explains that many homicides happen during social situations where people are interacting face to face, and this was supported by the U.S. Office of Justice Programs. I learned that these situations often take place in public settings like bars, parties, or even on the street, where emotions are already high. In my opinion, being around other people can make conflicts worse or heightened because no one ever wants to look weak or embarrassed. I think that pressure can cause people to respond more aggressively instead of just simply walking away. One part of the theory that really made sense to me was the idea that homicide unfolds in stages. I understand it with an opening move where one person says or does something that the other person sees as disrespectful. I think this is important because what one more person sees as nothing serious, another person might see it as a major insult or being offended. From there, the situation escalates where both people react to each other's behavior. I think this back and forth interaction is what really pushes the conflict towards violence. Another part that stood out to me was the idea of a working agreement where both people accept where the situation is turning violent, even if they don't even say it out loud. It's just a mental acknowledgement. I think this explains why some arguments don't stop when they should. Instead of calming down, both people continue to engage in the argument as if they feel like they have no other choice but to fight. In my opinion, pride, anger, and fear of being disrespected play a huge role in at this point. I also think this theory does a good job at explaining why alcohol is so often involved in confrontational homicide. Because from what I learned, alcohol lowers self-control and makes people more likely to misinterpret other people's actions and words. Personally, I think that alcohol makes it harder for people to back down once a conflict starts. And this helps explains why so many confrontational homicides happen in social settings where drinking is involved. What I really like about Luckenbill's theory is that it doesn't just blame the victim. Instead, I see it as a way to understand the behavior of both people along with the environment around them and how it contributes to the outcome. I think this is important because it gives researchers and investigators a fuller picture of what actually happens. It also helps explain why past violent behaviors can increase the chances of future violence, since people may be more likely to respond aggressively in similar situations as before. In my opinion, this theory is useful for prevention too. If homicide grows out of everyday interactions, then I believe teaching people better ways of handling conflict can actually save lives. I think learning how to walk away, de-escalate situations, and manage emotions can stop many confirmational homicides. In conclusion, Luckenbill's situated transaction theory helps me understand homicide as something that develops through social interaction and not just a singular violent act. I now see confrontational homicide as a process shaped by emotions, environment, and the actions of everybody involved. Overall, I think this theory gives us a more realistic and human way to understand violence and think about how to prevent it. Thank you.